When I was between the ages of 16 and 21, I loved being the first person to notice something in sports or pop culture. I was always looking for the next big thing before it hit, just so I could brag about seeing it first. Like I was telling my friends about how great Lenny Dykstra would be 2 years before he made it to the major leagues. I told people about Suzanne Vega 2 years before her first hit, Luca. I was a fan of UB40's Red Red Wine 5 years before it made it on the Billboard charts. I guess I'm still that way a little bit. And I was a fan of comedian Adam Ferrara when he was just an amateur back in 1988. My buddy Lenny was going to St. John's University at the time, and he had a friend in school who was an amateur comedian named Matt Burke. Burke was about 6'5" and very funny. He went on to become a writer on The Late Show with David Letterman. Well, Matt used to give Lenny free tickets to amateur night at Jimmy's Comedy Alley in Bayside, Queens, New York. Rob Bartlett from the Imus in the Morning Show was the host of those Wednesday night extravaganzas. The crowd was made mostly up of friends of the various comedians, so sometimes it was hard to get them excited for someone who wasn't their friend. But Matt always killed, and a young Italian comic also killed, Adam Ferrara. Jimmy's was an old bowling alley in the basement of a strip of stores in this residential neighborhood. It had a motif on the stage of an alley with a brick wall as a backdrop and a fire escape painted on. Too many comedians would look at that wall behind them and make West Side Story jokes, many of them about Maria. The first couple of times was funny. Ferrara didn't make those jokes. He didn't go for the obvious stuff. He told stories about growing up on Long Island and Queens and about his girlfriend, or maybe it was his wife, I'm not sure. Anyway, she was half Italian and half Irish, and Ferrara would say that made her a full pterodactyl. When she'd start screaming at him for some reason, he said she sounded like this. Wah! 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 And Adam would hold up the microphone stand and say, "It's okay, honey. You can land now." There were some other guys who were pretty funny back then, but they were rusty. Adam had a polished act. You could see him going places, and he did. He was a regular on Opie and Anthony's radio show back in their NEW days. And he must have been a friend of King of Queens Kevin James, because he appeared in that show 4 different times as different characters. One episode in particular, Doug was talking about his wife's private parts at work in a nudge, sexy kind of way, and Adam was disgusted, saying, "That's your wife, man." He got a big break playing a detective on Dennis Leary's first TV show, The Job, but that show never really took off, so it's great to see him get an even bigger chance on a big hit like Rescue Me. I think Needles, his character, is going to play a big part this season. This year I think he was in his first movie as well. At least it was his first hit movie, as Sergeant Howard, the chief hostage negotiator, in Kevin James's Paul Blart Mall Cop. I'm glad I knew him when. From the Predator.